positivity, encouragement, and I know where to get it. Let's rise. How do? Yeah, I got to get that out. Think about the tough times you've been through in the past. And at that moment, you didn't think you was going to make it, and you made it.
Yeah,
All right, now, you know what?
hey, oh, we don't need my answer. Okay, let's
No,
set
no,
move
I
on.
want your answer. Go on, say your answer, please.
See, you know what?
I'm trying to cut you out. I ain't trying to
Him?
cut you out.
Oh Lord.
So you know what we did to him? We went to doggy daycare. Yes.
She
We
said it.
yes, we took him to doggy daycare. So maybe they can teach him some manners that maybe we can't teach him. And just remember that you know what? You are directing your life within yourself. So whatever you want your life to be, whatever you do today is going to decide your future for tomorrow. So make sure you direct it carefully, all right? Come on, come on, rise. Let's go higher, higher, higher. When you enjoy something that you really enjoy, that you enjoy what you really enjoy, but you enjoy what you really do.
What did you just say? That
I
messed me up.
messed me up too.
I was waiting for the hair to go all over the place when you said that, but I think you got through it.
But
No, she did it anyway.
howdy, howdy, y'all. Good morning. It's kind of like a mustard, okra, yellow okra, some color. Yeah, Dijon. Yeah. Thank you, partner. It's been a great weekend. Busy trying to get ready for Thanksgiving, trying to do some much needed house cleaning. And you know what? I got busy throwing out some old food that had been, and it's been expired like 2023 and 24. I said, gosh, 22. Can you imagine? Well, it's really interesting. I'm sure people, Keone is getting all ready for the family and people are traveling from all over. I hope they don't get stranded at the airports and stuff like that. I'm sure. Oh, you should stop it. You should stop. Oh, wow. Mm, mm. Wow. Now I can definitely understand about that. But hey, I'm pretty good with potato salad. That's one of my specialties. Potato salad and banana pudding. That's my specialty. Ew, that's ugly. That's nasty. Who wants that junk? Raisins and potato salad. Who in the world? What are you thinking about? It's not the same. Mm-mm. Uh-huh. Exactly. I absolutely agree. And don't even, you know what? It's amazing how some people put oh yeah, I have this special ingredient I put in my stuffing. It's a family recipe. Family little ingredient that I put in there to just spike it up a little bit. I ain't gonna tell. I ain't no tell to tale. I ain't gonna tell it. Okay. Well, I don't know about you guys, but tell me, what are you guys going to be doing on Thanksgiving? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I definitely want to just be giving thanks just to be here, and I thank God for all His provisions that He's doing. So I thank God for that, for providing. So I'm believing God for provision, for life and health, and I thank Him for that, for my families. So yeah, we're gonna get it right. I know there's a lot of people gonna need to hear this today. We got a very exciting show coming for you. Good morning. Who is this? Gloria. Good morning, Gloria. Good morning, Clarence and Ken and all those that's watching. Just know that we're so glad that you're here. We got a great show. We're going to be talking about this life after trauma. If you got some friends, some family members that you think need to hear this show, send them the link to the show. Okay, invite them to come on with you. And while you there, do some live chatting. Don't forget that you can live chat. You can give your comments, you express yourself, ask your questions. We have a great guest today. We have April Uzzell coming, so she's here to really share about traumas and how there's healing and there's life after trauma. All right. Um,
Test, 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 test.
all right. Can they hear you now, Keone?
I don't think so. I don't even think you can hear me.
I can hear you. I
Okay.
can hear you.
And you can hear me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ah, my little mic thing is not going up. Hold on. Let me check one more thing before we
All
get
right.
started.
You know what? I remember, coming up in life, there's all kinds of things that, cause me trauma and rejection and things that I've gone through in life.
Oh, Clarence says we can hear me, and we know if Clarence can hear me, then I'm good because he don't hear
Great.
everything. So,
Great, great. There's another good morning over there. Lorraine, hi, Lorraine. So it's good to be here. But, we go through things in life that would definitely, that's very traumatic, but we got to,
you
even
know
though we
why I
go,
like
hmm
talking about this right now?
uh-huh.
Because holidays is a happy time,
Yes, it is.
but we get so happy that we forget about all the people who don't have family, may not have, and not that they don't have friends. Sometimes your friends are in a family where they can't invite everybody to come
Uh-huh.
in because that's family time, Thanksgiving. And so we forget about those people. And then
Hmm.
when you're sitting around during Thanksgiving and Christmas and you're by yourself
Hmm.
and you're left alone to your thoughts,
Right.
that's where trauma
Mhm.
creeps back in
I
Yeah.
agree.
and makes it even worse. So, since I just said that, let's segue because I'll get into a whole trauma spill. Let's go ahead and segue and get our guest to come on, April,
Hmm.
to come on and talk to us.
All right. Hey, April. April Uzzell.
Hello, hello.
Hello. It's such a pleasure. You look so beautiful today. Thank you for coming on
Thank
our show.
you.
You're welcome. It's good to see you and to for you to be on the show. And you know what? Um, April Uzzell, she is a certified Christian coach and mental coach. So we got to keep that in mind today. So we want to draw and pull from you today some nuggets that we need to advance beyond the traumas that we've been through in life. All right.
Oh, you just put my trauma right there. You just put Christian and mental in the same sentence. I was about to go on a whole spiel, but I ain't gonna do that today. That ain't the show. Um, April, talk about what I just led into before we brought you on. When we forget about those people who don't have the family structure, or maybe as much as their family is not around, they don't have a grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad alive anymore, and they never had kids, or just the holiday times where people who aren't happy and
Mhm.
being able to be led into that happiness, it's depressing for a lot of people. And that's where, when you're alone with your thoughts, that's when trauma starts to creep back in, is what I was saying before you came on.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me on. To answer your question, yes, certainly. During the holiday times, that's really when that trauma and even depression starts to creep in, due to lack of connection, or especially those that are going through grief from the loss of a loved one. I mean, it could be several things, even the holiday times when people feel like they are alone, loss of, family, even I would go, I mean, during the holiday times gives you time to think about a lot of things during that time, where you are in life, your
Mhm.
accomplishments, what you haven't done. Sometimes regrets can sneak in during the holiday times. But I look at holiday times is more, people grieve more, from the loss of a loved one.
Mhm.
So that has a tendency to creep in during that time.
You,
But I'm not going to go ahead of you right now. I wanted to make sure I answered that question. I caught myself getting a little ahead of going somewhere else, but I'm gonna stay right here. The holiday times is more because it's you look at holiday, you look at Thanksgiving, family, right? So if you lost someone out there, maybe your mom, your grandma, or your brother, sister, or a child, someone that's close to you, even relationships, if you lost a connection to a relationship,
mhm.
that's when grief begins to set in. And we look at grief as grief is not only losing a loved one, it's losing connections.
Yes.
You can grieve working, those that are in retirement age, they work a job 35 years or 40 years. You grieve that, because you had stability, you had a routine.
Mhm.
Now it's like, what's next? So you agree that. Even grieving, also not feeling complete, every year you're here.
Mhm.
And so that trauma begins to creep in. If we don't deal with trauma, trauma shows up in how we do life. It shows up in our patterns, it shows up in our behaviors and the
Yes.
things we do.
April,
So
let me just say this right quick. This is good because I know you mentioned something about, people grieve when a loved one has passed. I remember the first Christmas that
Right.
I went through with my mother being deceased. It was different because little things that she used to do. She used to cook, all the Thanksgiving food, and it was just it was different, and I wanted to seemingly go into depression about it because they was no longer here. She was no longer here. But then I had to remember the Lord said, well, who is here? Who is here?
that's
You know,
right.
spend your time grieving on who has left, then you will miss the opportunity to love the ones that's here. I remember I preached a sermon one time about that very same thing. And I love the song where the man said, if you can't
Yeah.
with the one you love the one that you with. And that was the title of the message at the funeral when I preached it. Because you don't get caught up, even though you're gonna remember them. You want to remember them, and the grief may come, but try to focus that grief and try to put the love towards those that are still here. But go ahead on.
That's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up, because you can lose sight of what you have.
Hmm.
We already know depression. When we get into depression, it's all about self.
Hmm.
Okay. And when I say self, it's all about us, what we don't have, where I'm at,
Hmm.
who done left me. You're thinking about you. You're not thinking about anything else, right?
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that up because, yes, there are things you can do positively to set the stage where that you're not in grief, where you're not depressed.
Hmm.
I mean, I say have your moment. If you miss your loved one, have your moment. And it's okay to have your moment. It's okay
Hmm.
not to be okay, but don't stay there.
Don't
Right.
fight it.
And that's
Yeah, don't fight it.
don't right, don't fight it. And that's why I'm here as, the coach, trying to help people to break free from past trauma,
Yes.
having a positive outcome with that. I created books, I created a workbook, which is just a tool, to help you work through your trauma, to
Hmm.
work through your experience.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes we do need to reflect on where we've been, and what happened to us. But you
Right.
also got to be in the now. We can't stay back there
Right.
because you so much when you stay back in the past. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you don't deal with it, you got to deal with it. You got to face it. You
So
can't heal. Healing comes through revealing.
Right.
Okay.
right, April.
If you don't, yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a delay, so sometimes I thought you ended your sentence, so we might interrupt each other a couple times. Um,
Okay.
I want to tackle on something that you said when you said have your moment, and we said depression is about self too, and sometimes that depression can come because you're thinking about everybody else. Like Lissette was just telling a story, and you said have your moment, which I think is great. Go in your room, have that woo-saw moment, have that reflection, and gather yourself and come back out. Sometimes we hold it in because we're thinking about everybody else, and I don't want to ruin the mood, or I don't want people to go, "What's wrong with you?" And now the attention's on me because we didn't take that moment to get it out.
That's good.
So you have that part of that as well. So I think that fits very well together, um, as well as just when we're thinking about ourselves and being depressed. Sometimes we're thinking about others. And I'm a person that suffers from clinical depression, so I get it. And sometimes my depression is because I'm concerned about everybody else and not concerned with me,
That's
which
interesting.
comes back the hard way. So I love
That's
that
good.
those two things came together when she said that, and you said have your moment, especially with men, because a lot of
Mm,
us have been given that teaching of don't show emotion, don't have emotion, push it down, be strong. Where you don't understand, being strong is being able to show those emotions and not feeling bad about it.
Hmm.
Because emotions are necessary. We have them for a reason. Don't be scared to be sad. Don't be scared to be angry. Don't be scared to have anxiety. You're having those emotions for a reason. And
Yes.
when you hold them all together, it's a pressure cooker. You're just a bomb waiting to go off.
right.
This is interesting. You know, um, it kind of reminds me how when I was a little girl, we're talking about trauma here. So it's I remember when I
That was
was
1924, right?
no, it might have been 1900. No, I'm just messing up. No, no, no. But I remember when I was in elementary school, and I remember the children uh, would traumatize me by calling me fatso and four eyes. I mean, who me? Me, fatso and four eyes. I mean, come on now. So, but and it was a lot to go through. But and there's just so many people that have gone through so many things, even as children, as adults, that have gone through different types of traumas. Whether the trauma was chronic or whether it's and going through now, whether chronic or acute or complex, all types
Yeah.
of hurtful things that people have gone through, and just like Ken said up here, hurting people hurt people,
Hurt people hurt
Yeah.
people.
or
We
hurt
find
people
out a
hurt
lot
people.
of the bullies that we had or that were around younger, they were bullies for a reason. We always chalked it
Yeah.
up of they're just jerks. No, you go to some of their homes and you find out, oh, they're bullying me because they're being abused.
There you
And that
go.
Yeah.
and because you're young, you if you're not taught by somebody how to handle emotions, no young person
Mm.
knows how to handle emotions from
Mm-mm.
age 2 to age 10. And if you don't have someone that can help you process that, you're going to process it whichever way you can. And Ken is exactly right. But I know one thing, Lissette, that was
Mhm.
when you're a kid. Let somebody walk up to you now and call you fat, so in 4 eyes they're gonna have a fat lip.
They sure is. I ain't playing.
They're gonna have a fat lip, and they're gonna have two, at least two slugs on
Hello,
them.
hello. They gonna show some respect up in here.
Yeah, Ken will hop on a
Yeah.
plane real quick and come see what that person's problem is.
But April, how do we? I know we mentioned how it's very important to admit when we have been traumatized. Why is that so important?
Well, you have to admit that it happened to you. Something happened to you. You know, from my experience, I had to face the fact something happened to me when I was younger. That childhood trauma. Um, and what happened was because I didn't admit that, because of the fact I was trying to protect people,
Hmm.
protect people, and I was a child when it happened to me, so I felt that my voice didn't matter.
Yeah.
Also, through not dealing with that, it caused me to show up a different way in my adulthood. Like,
Mm.
because I never did express that this person touched me, in an inappropriate way, mishandled me. I've been violated, and I held it until I was an adult
Mm.
because I was afraid and I was trying to protect someone. That's not good at all.
Mm.
Just imagine the weight you are carrying from that, not being able to express that. And when it was time for me to express that, I was bitter. I was
Mm.
angry about the fact that it happened to me,
Right.
you know. But back then, a lot of people don't deal with trauma like they do today. We living in a new world today where, I mean, we are trauma informed on my job.
Hmm.
People are taking the initiative to get to seek counseling, to deal with those issues, to work on your emotions. Emotions are there,
Yeah.
and we need to know how to express our emotions. A lot of times, a lot of us don't know how we feel, and we can't even verbally say it.
Wow.
Like, I'm sad.
You know what? You
You know,
can't verbally say it, but sometimes it's what's that song? It's written all over your face. You
Yeah.
don't have to
it's
say a
written
word.
all over your
Right.
face.
You
You
don't
don't
have to say a word.
want.
You know what's
But
equally
your
worse,
words are
April?
powerful, though, y'all.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
words are powerful.
You
Yeah.
know what's equally worse? I'm not equally worse. Equally as bad, April, like you're talking about that you experienced a trauma and you carried that into adulthood.
Mm.
I had the exact opposite of you on two occasions
Wow.
experiencing that type of trauma. And you tell the people who are supposed to be supportive and protective of that. So when I told not to call her out, but she already knows, when I told my mom in front of the person's family at 6 years old what happened, I got a
Wow.
spanking for making up lies and embarrassing her
Mm,
in front
mm,
of company. And
mm,
so
mm,
some people didn't say three reasons why people don't say things. One, you said they haven't identified that something that didn't happen to them because they didn't understand it at the time.
mm,
Two, the person that's perpetrating the assault is will put it in your head that either A, it was your fault,
mhm.
or B, if you do tell somebody, there's repercussions. And
Wow.
then C, you have the one that I just brought up where people ain't gonna believe you anyway. Especially, and I hate to make this about men, and this is a lot about why men don't report abuse as much as women. There's still a lot of women who don't
Mhm,
report abuse, but it's definitely large in males that don't report abuse, especially if that abuse was perpetrated by a female,
mm. That's so true.
Mm,
because it's that
Woo.
mentality we were taught again.
that's
How will people
good.
look at me if I complain that April came in here and sexually assaulted me? You know the jokes. April's pretty. What you mean she assaulted you, man? Give her my number. Like they don't take seriously what you just said.
They don't.
You
That's
know?
true. That is so true. And like you said, I was afraid, and I've been told, because I was young,
Mhm.
imagine me at 12 telling, um, and I'm gonna throw it out there, my mom, that her husband, molested me,
Wow.
and imagine me telling her that, for one, I'm 12. Oh, she fast. Oh,
Oh,
she just
that
a
was the
fast
one they used back then. You are right.
um I'm just a fast girl. So I never really told nobody. I think I waited till I was in a space to really share
Mhm,
that, you know? And at that point I was really angry, you know? But at the end of the
Uh-huh.
day, it happened.
Uh,
And, I had to deal with that,
mhm,
but as a child, it just took so much out of me as a child, because of the fact I couldn't share it with nobody. Who
mm,
was going to believe me that, hey, you talking about your mama husband? No, he didn't do that to you. And a lot of people don't, I mean, still, to this day, I have been open to share that part of my life, but I really didn't like to share it because I was protecting, my loved ones. You get what I'm saying?
mhm.
Not
yeah.
that it
Yeah.
was my mom's
Oh, yeah.
Well,
fault.
the biggest
My
thing.
mom, huh?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I it did that lag where I thought you were finished. Go ahead. Continue.
Uh-huh. It's fine. I was just saying, not that it was my mom's fault. I was protecting her at the time. I didn't want to make her look bad or anything like that. But
Mhm,
I mean, it just happened. She didn't know that this was going on and stuff like that. And I believe that at that time, my mama um, probably was experiencing some kind of, I would say trauma, that was not identified because back then, they don't talk about it.
They don't.
Ex,
They didn't talk about it
ex
that.
people in
They
the
didn't,
hood, right?
and they didn't associate things like when parenting
mhm,
back then. If they're looking at you instead of calling you fast at 12, okay, if you're acting fast, there's a reason for that. Something's happening.
mhm,
And that's
Hmm.
the one thing. And the one thing you said about it being your stepfather is, and I've said this on the show before. You remember that show To Catch a Predator, April?
I believe so.
Yeah, where they set up, on a computer and they catch predators
mhm.
trying
Yeah, yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And people
Mhm,
always look at me side eyed when I say I hated that show as a person who experienced that. And I said, and they go, why? I said, because we understand that there's people out there, total strangers, who will harm a child. We know that. Many, many doctors and psychologists have said most of them like to stay on the computer and like the fantasy, but of course, a lot of them will also commit the action. That show used to spend hours and hours and days talking to hundreds of people to finally get one person to come
mm,
over. And the reason why I point that out is because most of the sexual abuse comes from family members and friends of the family.
That
and
is so
people
true.
turn away and not look at that because they're all looking at the creepy stranger that's out there lurking in the shadows, and we ignore the signs from Uncle Jimmy and
Yep.
Auntie Risa,
Or people
you
you
Yeah.
know,
know.
cousin
Hmm.
Tommy.
Right.
We ignore it
Hmm.
because they wouldn't. It's got to be some stranger that looks a certain way, hiding in a basement somewhere on a computer,
Yeah.
and it's
Jesus.
and the enemy is right at your door, staring you right in the face
There you
every
go. April, how did this trauma in your life affect you in your growing up and in your life as you go forth in life? How did that affect you?
Well, can you guys hear me?
Yep,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
It's frozen, but
Well,
we can hear you.
okay. Okay. Well, it affected me relationship wise. Um, and I would say not being able to trust anybody.
Hmm.
And I grew up fast. I grew up very fast. I was a teen mom. I ended up having a baby, getting pregnant at 16, having my baby at 17. It made me this angry girl. I mean, I was very like guarded, and also I would say I was in my bitter state because I was mad and stuff like that. So um, and some other things happened along the way, but I'm not. I don't know if I want to share right now. But it just the way I dealt with relationship, knowing how to being healthy with communicating and just doing life, loving my children, my girls, being overprotected because of men. Didn't want them everywhere because of what happened to me. So I was very protected as a mom, but more so relationship. And I would say, yeah, yeah, relationship
let,
wise.
let me ask you this. Did you so it seemed like to me you more so acted out what they said about you fast? Is that you acted out the statement that was pronounced on you, like you
I
acted
did.
that out? Hmm.
I mean, really, I did because, I mean, I didn't think nobody want me. I didn't feel wanted. I never felt good enough. I never felt wanted, because of that, um, which what happened to me.
Hmm.
And it just was with me. It just stuck with me, until I would say until I gave my life to Christ,
Hmm.
totally released it to Him. But even doing so, that I was carrying the weight of it, and I was so angry behind it that I had to forgive.
How
You know,
did you overcome this? How I know you said Christ was the major part of it, but
yeah.
how did you take us through the journey of how you actually I see Clarence in the comment section said, how did you overcome? What made you say, you know what? I'm better than this. I'm better than what they were pronounced over me. I'm better, and what made you um say, hey, you know what? I'm better. How did you overcome this?
Okay. So I'm gonna just be honest. I didn't really overcome this until I was really in my adulthood. I mean, after the fact that I saw that I didn't like the way my attitude and how I was presenting myself, as far as behaviors and stuff.
Mhm.
Living a life that, started drinking and doing a lot of things that wasn't even me, and I think it was more so me trying to get over that. That's why you have people that do drink, smoke, sex, and do what they need to do, buy shoes, take pills. You have people that commit suicide because of that pain and not being able to really knowing how to properly deal with it. So you have people that go to those things, and I must say that the Lord shielded me from all of the bad things that could have happened to me.
Hmm.
As far as taking my life, I did have suicidal thoughts, because I didn't feel wanted. I didn't
Hmm.
feel enough. But I guess I got sick and tired because as a mother, I had to show up for my children.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say to you how I overcame it. It was the Lord, and
Okay.
and, and, and I'm gonna break it down. I had to make a change. Okay, I had to say to myself, I no longer wanted to hold that. The first step is for anything you're gonna have to forgive, and
Hmm.
I'm just telling you, you can go through therapy, which I did. I was in. I went through counseling. You can give your life to Christ. But me personally, you have to forgive.
But what if they say,
That's
I don't want to forgive? I'm mad. I don't
I
want to forgive.
didn't forgive. I didn't either. I really didn't. I'm gonna tell y'all how deep it was that I didn't want to forgive. I to myself, I never forget, I drove to the cliff of the noose, my car back there, and I was back there pondering because I knew I had to forgive. And people kept telling me I had to forgive. My thing was I was 12. Why? Why was nobody there to protect me? Why I have to forgive a adult who know better? And it made me mad, right? So I was like, I'd rather jump. You get what I'm saying? I'd rather
Mhm.
take my life than to forgive. You know what I'm saying? So that's where
Mhm.
the suicidal thoughts, of me, I don't want to do it. And it is hard. And
It
it's going to
is.
be hard. And you're not going to want to. But I never forget, just seeing my life flashing of what if I take that step,
Hmm.
that's what's behind that,
Hmm.
if I only just do that.
Hmm.
So I forgave. I said, Lord, I don't want this no more.
Let me ask
So
you
I,
this. Is
mhm,
forgiving a one-time forgiving or a continual forgiving?
it's a continual thing. You got to understand that even with trauma, people got to understand there are things that we call triggers that
Yes.
will show up if you're not properly healing. And sometimes you need some professional help to take you back there to help you process that too now. Triggers gonna show up. They may show up, something may come to you, in a relationship. Somebody may show the same signs, and that shows up. And there you go again. It takes you back. Triggers take you back to what happened to you. But I say triggers are things that you just need to deal with too.
Let me ask you
Because
this.
you don't,
It's
This
funny.
is this
I
is mhm. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kiana.
It's funny. I didn't forgive neither of those people, and people always ask me, "Well, how did you get over it?" Because you talk about it so easy, and normally people talk about it easy when they get over it. I never got the chance to forgive them, or I never forgive them in my head. The thing that happened to me was as an adult when I went back home, I saw that both of them were living in misery, and sadly, that tickled my soul. And I was and this is not good, but I took delight in it. And I got back on a plane when I left home, and I just never thought about it again. I think that seeing the misery that they were in, and it sounds bad, but hell, it's what happened. Seeing the misery that they were in kind of said, you know what? That's what karma gets you.
I heard that.
And it broke me over it. So I never got that um forgiving them aspect, which is a lucky thing because most of us we have to go through that uh process.
Sometimes it's like, if you Just like if you try to get vengeance yourself, you're gonna get in some sticky situations. So, like you was talking about karma, I say, well, let the Lord take care of it, because really, if you let Him get your vengeance, oh, He's gonna get it now. But I will say this: for somebody that is a rapist of children,
Hey,
or
wait.
they need to
YouTube,
go
Lissette,
to jail. Huh?
Lissette, YouTube.
He
You just
said,
throw
"You
that,
too."
you just throw that word out there and then put children behind it.
Yeah, it's creepy. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And the person that did it, the person that, now I didn't laugh or get a feel about it, but that person, I would say years later, they died with cancer.
mm,
I mean, yeah, they end up dying. Yeah, yep. And the sad, let me tell y'all, that I end up running into that person somewhere,
Mhm.
and they looked at me because they didn't expect me to be where I was, in this space. Oh, she doing good, because it happened to me when I was a child, and
Mhm.
I'm like, what, you expect me to be on drugs or something like that? So it was like, to them, when they saw me, it was like, wow, you know.
yeah.
But by that time, I had moved on from that, because I was no longer in that space no more to be able, I didn't have to deal with that no more. I wasn't that child no more. I was an adult, you know.
Right.
Now, um, however, I'm gonna make this clear. Now, somebody would have did that to my children. I
Uh-huh.
don't know, y'all. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah,
a different.
especially you don't know because you experienced it yourself. So now
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
thinking about
yeah.
you'll be looking at your child thinking about how you felt, and
Right.
you'll know where they're at, and that makes it even, yeah,
Yes.
amplifies it. Mhm.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Gloria Martin says triggers helps you grow in your forgiveness. It reminds you that God has helped you to overcome your trauma, and that is so true.
That's good.
But I'm kind of wondering, like, does when you are abused, do you abuse others? And maybe you
Oh
don't
yeah.
know that you are abusing
Yeah.
people, because it's like you're, what makes you, or what caused you to abuse others when you have been abused? Have you not released it, or what could that be?
Huh?
I can say, because I was in a household where I witnessed violence being done in the household. And I ain't gonna lie, I was like, Lord, I don't want to be married. I don't want to be in a situation like that. So it made me a little, like, I, violent, a little. I wouldn't say violent, but yeah, yeah. I was in relationship and I felt a trigger. Or you about to do something, I would clash out, and throw hands, and that's what I seen. Verbal abuse, talking down,
Hmm.
saying you're nothing, you ain't gonna never be nothing. Just somebody verbally keep saying that to you, and you hearing them saying that to your mama, and
Yeah.
it was just it's not good, being in a household like that. And it made me too strong in a relationship where that I had to protect myself, like almost like I was in the same situation as my mom was,
Hmm.
and it will hurt people, do hurt people. And that abuse, either, I'm gonna tell you another thing that'll happen too. You will be drawn to abusers.
And
Most
that's something.
time, I haven't been in that case though,
Mm,
but
mm,
I
mm,
was the
mm.
abuser. Not abused. I wouldn't say I was bad, but I did some things that I didn't supposed to do. But you'll find a lot of people too that have been in abusive relationships.
Hmm.
Um, they will be drawn to that abuse. They will be in relationships where men are abusing them, They'll be in relationships where men are talking down on them.
Mhm.
Women who have low self-esteem. See, me, I guess it, like I said back then, I felt like I wasn't enough, and I felt like I wasn't wanted. It built my self-esteem up a little bit, like I gotta protect myself. You get what I'm saying? So to me, it was like vice versa for me. But I do see this a lot, with women, that I have seen that they're
Mhm.
in domestic relationships, and if you sit there and ask them,
Mhm.
and you hear their story and where it trended for either they was in a household
Mhm.
of abuse, or it was just something that happened that they drawn to that.
You know,
So yeah. Now, it's not for every case now.
you know what? And I'm also thinking how that sometimes we look as at abuse as abusing others. But I know you even expressed it a little bit earlier about how you ended up abusing yourself. Sometimes we abuse ourselves by not by not going after our dreams. That's like an abuse to you like putting yourself on the on the back burner, or somehow or another you have up here.
You don't have the self-worth.
There you go.
You get into, like we said, it all comes back to what we're talking about. You get in those depressive states.
Hmm.
You don't feel useful. You're
Yeah.
not your full self. You're not maximizing your full potential because of
Yes.
all of these emotions and things that you haven't processed. Like we said, when you're a child, is a parent helping you process it? When you're an adult, have you seeked help to help you process it? And just seeking help, it's not a one size fits all. Sometimes you have to go through several therapists to find the one that connects with you and operates correctly. I remember my first therapist used to make me so angry because they would focus on the stuff that I wasn't even angry about. They were
Wow.
like, "Well, doesn't this make you angry?" I'm like, "No." "Well, how could it? It's very traumatic." "Well, that part doesn't bother me." "But it has to do something." "Well, it doesn't." "Yes, it does." "Well, you don't want to talk about it?" And then I would start getting angry. They said, "See, I'm telling you, it's making." I'm like, "No, you're making me angry." you know. So it took a couple people till you find the one, just like any other profession, you find the one that's connecting with you
Mhm.
on that level, and then that's when it succeeds. So it's not just go to a therapist, hey, that didn't work, therapy is stupid. And no, you've got to sometimes shop around and find that one that connects with you, and then you'll know.
I agree with that
But
too,
like
because
we all grew up very religious. So, I grew up in a small little neighborhood with its own Baptist church. And many of the people that I went to talk to about what I was dealing with as a child, but I couldn't tell them like what actually happened. "Oh, you just have the blues, honey. Just pray. You just have the blues. Just pray." That's what I was given and then sent on my way, as if I'm in the way. They got other business to take care of. Pray, and it's just the blues. You'll be fine.
Mm.
Send you on your way. Therapy is not something that we talked about a lot
Mhm.
in religious communities, and
Mhm.
therapy is especially not a lot of we didn't talk about a lot in Black communities because we have enough to deal with people labeling us criminals or any other thing. The last thing we want is now being added the label that you're crazy,
Mhm.
right? Something's wrong with you. And so I
yeah,
like that you said today we're kind of getting out of that zone, right?
Yes.
yes.
Getting out of that zone.
And this is really good. I see Gloria also in the chat said, "Amen. This is so true. That is so true. I will. It will happen to a woman concerning self worth." Yes, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely. Go ahead, Keone.
Mhm.
Oh
You.
no, that was it. That was just what I had to say. It was just dealing with when you grow up in a religious community and a Black community, therapy is not something that's pushed to the forefront. And like I always say, I don't care if people get mad at me. we can't believe in God and then not understand the tools that God has put in
All
front of
right.
us.
All
So
right.
it's
I
not
like
just
that.
pray, it's pray and also seek help. What I always mess this line up. What does it say? Prayer without action is meaningless.
Yes. And
Faith
that's
without
true.
works is
So,
dead.
It's
you
dead.
can pray. My grandfather used to told me the story, and every time he told me a biblical story, he would say John. So I understood he was talking to me. He goes, John prayed to God that he could win the lottery, and God said, for the first time, spoke to him and said, "You will." So a week went by, he didn't win the lottery. So he said, God, you said I would win the lottery. He said, you will. And the next week went by, he didn't win the lottery. So he said, God, you keep telling me I'm going to win the lottery, but I still haven't won. You'll win next week. I promise. Next week went by, months went by. And then John got irate and he yelled at God and said, God, you keep telling me I'm going to win the lottery and I still haven't won the lottery. And God said, John, you will win the lottery, but first you got to go and buy a ticket.
There we go. Come on.
It's so simple.
Duh. You know?
That's good. That's good. Um, I'm gonna hit on what you said. And I'm glad, and that's my thing that I had an issue with too, with far as us not working through our issues. Where I mean, I know for a fact my mom I always say pray about it because I used to try to get my mom to work on her, like far as let's go to counseling, different things like that. But it was always let's pray about it, let's put it under the rug, but those issues are still there. And I agree with you totally. We'll say pray right now, but that issue's still there though. We gotta do more than just pray. You still gotta work on your issues. It's your responsibility. Now you can't, I mean, what happened to you, yes, that wasn't your fault, but it's your responsibility to own your healing, to do what you need to do. And we do, as a people need to start working on our issues, and I feel like God will want us to work on our issues than just pray all day. Then what you gonna do after that? And then it used to grieve me that you have people that are in church that are suicidal, that
Mhm.
are depressed, and don't know how to properly process that. You know, and I agree as well as therapy. Don't just give up the first try. I mean, I myself had to go through several, until I found the right one that worked for me, because I would have gave up. Some people have a imbalance where they need medicine
Mhm.
to get them back where
Yes.
they need to be. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
If you're because your trauma issues, you may have severe mental illness from
Mhm,
what happened to you.
mhm.
And there is nothing wrong with getting the help that you need. We got to get out of that where I don't want people to think I'm crazy or whatever. Get over it. This is your life, and you don't
Exactly.
want to blow your life up. You don't want to be stuck. I remember going to therapy, and this lady, my therapist, told me, you take off everything. I cried so bad. Some people need to cry. I mean,
Mhm.
come on now. Even in Christian community, we
Yes.
are, and I know this for a fact. We gotta be strong. We gotta be this strong black woman. Is that healthy though? All the time?
No, it's
Yes, be
not.
Not
strong
not
and
healthy
it's
for
not
any
healthy.
anybody.
It's not healthy.
It's
It's
not.
not
It's
healthy, and it's also
It's
the
not.
one of the things that I fight with people on is they say, "Well, today everybody has mental health issues. What's going on?" When we were growing up, we didn't have all these mental
You
health
just
issues.
got it
Yes, we
beaten
did.
out of you. That's all.
It's just that yeah, especially going back to the men department. Men were stronger back then. Did you know Martin Luther King attempted suicide twice?
I didn't know that. No.
He attempted suicide. I think he was around 12 or 13 when his grandmother died. He was really close to his grandmother. And then he attempted it a second time when his best friend died. And people who knew him dealt with depression his entire adult life. And that's why they believe he was so, threw his life into compassion and worked on empathy so much because of that. So mental health is not a new thing. A lot of people walk around acting like I talk to older men all the time. They're like, "Well, I didn't handle my emotions like they do today." I said, "Yeah, that's why you stopped at the bar on the way to home from work every time and drank yourself and came home drunk because you
That's
didn't know how
it.
to process your emotions that you don't like your life and your job situation and all these things." So it's always been here for people who just keep making it like it's a thing today. What's happening with the world? Everybody's depressed and everybody's it's happened a lot. It's just that now we don't get looked at like we did in the 70s, 80s, 90s or before with dealing with it like we do now.
You
You
know
can deal
what?
with it now and
This is
somebody not think something is wrong with you.
this is interesting, Keone and April, because I remember this. I thought about this little joke where, I forgot the comedian that said, if you back then those days, if your eyes were cross-eyed, they hit you and beat you to death and uncross the eyes. If you were sick, they beat you some of everything, but trying to beat it out of you. But I was just thinking, didn't know I thought about this movie Predator, how when the I forgot the black actor that's actually saw the predator. It was kind of like the one that was the gun hole type soldier that was, shell shot, and actually saw the predator. He said, "I'm gonna have me some fun tonight. I'm gonna have me some fun tonight." He was, that's how he was gonna handle what he saw. He was gonna shoot up. he was gonna, sh- he was gonna shoot him, the predator. But I mean, I had to go get some help too as well, and it helped me, so but you have also, you're an author of a workbook. I know you're the author of the you wrote Free Indeed, but you also have a workbook it says, the name of it is She's Breaking Free. And
Yes.
I purchased your workbook, and I'm
Yes,
telling you, I
ma'am.
really enjoy it because in your workbook you take you take the reader through the process of getting their healing. And tell us more about that workbook, please.
Yes, ma'am. My first book was Free Indeed. I did that during the pandemic. At that time, I lost my spiritual mother. She basically was that person that kind of helped me a lot with process the situation, my childhood trauma. I was able to express myself with her, and she seen me go through a lot. So during that time, I lost her, and it was like I lost. It was almost like I lost a lot, because she could feel me. She knew me. She knew when I was off. So that's where Free Indeed came in. And then at the time, I was going through a career change, and I felt like I was having a redefining moment, like where is my life heading at? So I was pretty, in that moment. So I began to write.
Mhm.
So I shared I shared my story in Free Indeed, a little bit about that. But you can't share a lot in one book, one setting. So Free Indeed, I shared my story in there, and also it was prayers, and it actually had things you could do as well. It was like a self-reflection. These are tools. My workbook is a tool to kind of help you navigate trauma. It takes you through it's work. Like I tell people, my workbook is a workbook. And
Right.
I found that a lot of people don't want to work through. I mean, a lot of people don't want to go back. They
Mhm.
whether stay here. they don't want to open up a wound, like you got cut, opening that wound back up.
Right.
Um, and it's a tool. It talks about like the silent battle, that I think a lot of things start in the mind,
Yes.
and it helps you to process that silent battle, which is the mind. I know
Yes.
a lot of things that I have gone through, and a lot of decisions we make are, we think about it first, right? So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of negative thoughts play back in the mind,
Yes.
and it's how we receive it. You receiving those negative thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing how to, unpack, the past pain, and then breaking the lie cycle, because you've been through trauma. And, like I told y'all, I felt unwanted. I felt not enough. Some of that came with that,
Okay.
from going through that process. And then reclaiming your worth, reclaiming your worth back, reclaiming who you are now, and not focusing so much on back then. We're gonna unpack it. We're gonna see where the lie
Mm-hmm.
came at, where it is trending from. Now let's reclaim our worth. Then let's deal with healing the heart. When we're talking about that forgiveness,
Yes.
laying it down, because you got to unpack first before you can even reach. Some people can't even reach the forgiveness part yet, and then standing in freedom, meaning that I'm a stand here. I'm not gonna go back. We know that. I mean, even me, my mom illness, her diagnosis took me back to a child. So that's the trigger. Certain things that take you back. So, standing in freedom, I don't live there no more. I'm not that little girl no more. I'm becoming,
Yes.
also, just picking up the pieces and putting things back together so you can move forward. So this book is a tool. It's based on, scriptures. It also have you to
Powerful.
reflect. It's questions. It'll have you thinking, and it'll have you doing, and it'll help you to unpack. And it has journals and different things like that. So it's a very great tool to help you, work through your process.
So
Yes.
how would someone go about purchasing your book, or is there a link in the
Actually,
no, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
You were
April.
okay. They are all on Amazon. They are live on Amazon. You can purchase She's Breaking Free, and you also can purchase Free Indeed. You can go on Amazon, um, and purchase your copy.
Wow. I mean, I've really enjoyed you. Is there anything else you would like to say before we end the show?
Um, just I would say that it's time to work on those issues. And it's time, we are no longer back then. We are free now to be able to freely work through the process of getting healed, so you're not hindering your life, and as I said before, healing, in order to heal, things got to be revealed in your life. And, once those things are revealed, work on it. It's your responsibility to work on you, do the necessary work. And I would say healing ain't pretty all the time. It's painful, it's ugly cries, it's moments where you're gonna just sit and ponder. But hey, you on your way, so I would say to anyone out there that, right now on that journey, just trying to figure out how to navigate that journey. I want to say right now, you are on the right path. Just continue to do the work, the necessary work, continue to deal with those issues. Continue to, if you need a professional help, reach out. We already said that, finding a therapist, a good therapist is like finding a good pair of shoes. You're going to have to seek, and don't give up on that, and don't give up on yourself. Know that you're not something, nothing is wrong with you. You're not crazy for feeling the way you feel. You have every right to feel, just like you have every right to heal. So I would say it's time to get healed. It's time to be all that God has called you to be. Yes, amen.
Thank, thank you so very much, April. Thank you for our uh, um, viewers that had that viewed, and Clarence Cornegay said that he said, April, you are deep. It is good that you use the painful things that you have gone through to help others. To God be the glory. To God be the glory.
To
So
God be the
all you
glory.
listeners out there, thank you for tuning in today. Please, for those that was not able to do the live, please take the link and share it with your friends. Make sure you share it with your friends, and also those that have are dealing with the hurt from the past and trauma. Also, make sure that you purchase her workbook on Amazon. She's Breaking Free. That's the workbook. And her other book is free indeed. And you know what? As you go through your Thanksgiving, just have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you, Keone, and all of the staff. I want y'all to have a blessed Thanksgiving, and just know you deserve
What
to be
staff?
all that you can be. All right.
What staff? I'm the staff.
Lord, you done messed up
I,
what I was trying to say. Oh
I,
my God. Oh my
I messed up what you're gonna say. Well, that'll be a first.
whatever. Have a